Hello everybody, welcome to Corn Ferry Live. Whether you're just starting out in your career or have a number of years under your belt, maybe a wrinkle or two, we welcome you all with Sorry about that. Not sure what happened. Technology, eh? It's always on our back. Anyway, by now you probably know our style. We keep our finger on the pulse. Whether it's a hot topic for the headlines or something you're navigating in real time, we aim to meet you where it matters most. What is today's topic, I hear you ask? Well, today we're diving into something deceptively simple. Skills. We'll talk about them, we'll hire for them. When it comes to unlocking performance and potential in our organizations, are we even asking the right questions? Because skills alone don't tell the full story. We'll be unpacking what skills really are, why they matter, where to begin when rethinking your talent strategy, and how to keep skills relevant in a world that's changing faster than job titles keep up. It's so difficult. So whether you're a leader, a people manager, or just passionate about helping talent thrive, this session's for you. Now, this isn't just about us talking at you. We want you in the mix. Think of it like us. Like you're the Buzz to my Woody, the Mac to my cheese, Gosh, this one is a challenging one today. I hope you're staying on board. But actually, if you are here, we don't want you just sitting back. We want you to jump into the chat. Share your thoughts, drop your questions. If something hits home, throw in a few emojis. We're talking thumbs up, light bulbs, claps, whatever says, I'm with you. Let's make this feel less like a live stream and more like a living room. We're all in this together. So light up that chat. And there's no time like the present. So when it comes to your role today, what matters more? Technical ability or mindset? Drop your thoughts in the chat right now. Plus, we have a mini poll for you. We just keep on giving. Can I have the poll on screen, please? Thank you very much. Here it comes. Lovely, lovely. So when you hear skills at work, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Sorry, guys, I keep clicking out. I'm sorry about this. Really apologize. But anyway, you can see the poll hopefully there, and hopefully I can stay with you on this. So please look at the questions and click on the link in the chat. Take your pick. We'll reveal some of those results a bit later on. So let's crack on as quickly before I lose any more connection. As always, I'm your host, Darren Bolton, Chief Creative Officer here at Korn Ferry. And today I'm joined by two of Korn Ferry's very best. First up, we have Camelia Ram, Associate. Sorry about this. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, we're introducing Camelia Ram, Associate Client Partner, and Cam Malik, Senior Client Partner. Hello, please come and join me quick before I disappear again. I just don't know what's going on today. I've got nothing.
We're here. I think the first lot of skills we need are technical skills. Oh, look, we've lost Darren again. Well, look, why don't we keep going and keep us sort of engaged and keep the discussion going, and hopefully Darren will sort of float in and float out. So maybe, Camelia, if I can ask you a question and we'll sort of kick us off. Maybe let's start with some of the basics. what do you think skills are? How would you define skills?
Oh, thank you. You're asking the questions for me. I mean, I think it's going to come to that, isn't it, sooner or later? So exactly, yes. I think we're after.
Camilla, do you want to?
Indeed, I think we need to carry on. So it's a pretty basic question, but we wanted to start with exploring the question of what are even skills. And for us at Korn Ferry, we see skills as the combination of technical ability, behavioral competency, and personal identity that it allows an individual to meet personal and business outcomes. And we take this holistic view because we believe it's not just about the individual's ability to succeed in driving outcomes today, but equally important to drive them tomorrow. And as a result, these three components combine to form learning agility, where technical abilities or technical or hard skills are those skills that could be trained, for example, coding skills. Behavioral competencies are observable skills and behaviors that sometimes are referred to as soft skills, but they are just as critical. So imagine the same AI and machine learning specialist that is unable to communicate their ideas clearly. And then personal identity is the thing that powers your curiosity. It's the thing that what drives and motivates you. What is the attitude with which you live your values? What truly energizes you? And your personal identity is difficult to change because it is at its core the essence of who you are. And so the development here is in being aware and creating the best context for so that you can do your best work. So that same AI and machine learning specialist may be good at applying their skills to optimize trading of financial products, but they may be great at using those same skills to tackle climate challenges.
Cool, excellent. Well, that was a very comprehensive answer there. We've got Darren back. Hello, Darren.
Well, look, maybe not for long. Who knows? So I keep fingers crossed. So at least we will get the questions on the screen. So at least you two can chat along. I don't know. I've never had this problem before. I don't know what's going on. So I do apologise. So do you want to follow on from that, Cam? As I wasn't quite hearing and seeing what you're saying, but I believe you're on the what skills definition, or should we move on to our next question?
I think let's move on to our next question because Camilla gave us a really nice full answer there.
Sounds good. So, okay, so Cam, let's calm down. So we've said skills about 10 times already and stuff, but why do they matter so much kind of right now? What's shifting kind of beneath the surface, I guess?
Yeah, so look, it's a really interesting question. So we always used to talk about jobs, okay, hiring for jobs, promoting for jobs. But what we're seeing is over time, the expected useful life of jobs is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Whereas a job and a role in that spec would last 5-6 years, now it can be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. And so skills are starting to be a proxy for job, where we're basically saying that effectively jobs are becoming bundles of skills and you need to switch those around as you're changing in your organization. What's layering on top of that, though, is that those skills themselves are changing much more quickly. So the half-life, especially of technical skills, is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. If you look at, prompt engineering and AI, like 6-12 months ago to today, the skills that you need to sort of interact with some of these GPTs is fundamentally different. And so arguably one would say, is what you know important, or is how you think important? And almost to your question at the outset, what is more critical, skill set or mindset? So maybe an interesting one for our audience.
Brilliant. And Camilla, anything to add?
So we know that, again, the landscape today includes tools built with generative AI and machine learning, and individuals with a strong ability to adapt don't feel threatened by these tools. So they are instead embracing the possibilities that come with them and stay focused on what matters most. So this idea of agility and adaptability is as Cam mentioned, something that's driving this, but equally the need to expand talent pools, because the World Economic Forum actually expects a net growth of total employment to 2030, equivalent to 78 million jobs. So as demand outstrips supply of talent, organizations must better understand what skills they have access to internally that can be rapidly upskilled or reskilled to bridge those gaps.
Yeah, and look, that's really interesting. So you can take a utopian or dystopian view. So, different studies, the World Economic Forum talks about the net job increase. Other studies talk about a net decrease. I think in either case, individuals risk obsolescence without that learning agility, without that ability to sort of unlearn old skills and relearn new skills. And so, that becomes more and more critical. So where should organizations start in we've got a little question here. Oh, I missed that question. Could we put the question back up, please? In the AI era, which human skills will be highly effective to nurture? Well, I think from my perspective, we talk very much about this idea of mindset, critical thinking, complex problem solving, learning agility. I mean, Camille's talked a number of times about learning agility. That idea of how you think and how you can develop and continuously grow, I think it is key. Camille, anything to add to that?
So the things that I think will remain uniquely human: collaboration, empathy. So being able to design something for a context, put it truly in what is the need at that point in time, and work with a number of others in a system to have impact are going to be really important.
No, great point. So look, with this context of skills and why they're important, where do you think organizations should start on this journey?
So I think the important thing to start with is sponsorships, because this comes sponsorship from the top, because it's great to talk about skills, but it actually comes with quite a shift from managing employment in a job to orchestrating work to be done. In other words, applying, not just getting a piece of work done, but applying those skills that are available to you in an organization to deliver business outcomes. And then importantly, starting with what's therefore that business outcome that we're looking to drive. Is it around customer experience? Is it cost reduction? Is it business turnaround? Is it expansion and growth? And then looking for those strong use cases, partnering with teams who will act as, if you like, those early adopters of change, but also honest about the kind of data that we're going to need, the kind of the changes to practices that are going to be really important to bring skills at the center of everything we do, and basically have that at scale in an organization.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. And I think for me, so I spend a lot of time talking to CHROs who are challenged with this. And I think we've seen a couple of examples of what to do and honestly what maybe not to do. So where some have struggled is they've gone straight into things like a talent marketplace. Let's go and implement a talent marketplace in the hope that we can get into a skills-based organization that way. I think for me, there are probably three big things. So number one, what's the business problem we're trying to solve? And you sort of touched on it with sponsorship, this idea of, are we trying to drive productivity? Are we trying to drive a particular strategy? Are we trying to be in a life sciences environment more patient-centric rather than sort of selling pills? So what is the business outcome that we're trying to achieve? Number one. Number two is then, what skills do you need? What skills do you have? And how do you close the gap? So being very clear that success profiles drive everything. What does good look like for the roles that you're going to go based on that business strategy? And the final piece is MVP. What is the minimum viable product you need to make this successful? Because I think too often we can spend ages working on skills taxonomy, skills ontologies, and dare I say, and I'll be slightly controversial, maybe slightly over-engineering some of those. Like, what can you simply do to show business benefit, and then use that as a lighthouse to drive adoption across the organization? So some really interesting things organizationally. Now, I think we've got a question from the audience. Okay, so from your experience, what separates companies that implement a successful skills framework over those that struggle to maintain it over time? I've got a particular view, so I'm happy to go first, and Camille, hand over to you. I think for me, it is our skills here and how the organization runs over here. And by that, what I mean is you can spend a lot of time and money and build a very expensive, beautiful looking skills taxonomy and leave it on a shelf. How does it relate to how I'm going to get promoted, how I'm going to get an interesting job, how it relates to my career progression, how does it relate to reward, how does it relate to strategic workforce planning? So if skills become the lifeblood of the end-to-end HR process, then they are fully integrated into the business strategy. And I think without that, unfortunately, in my view, they're destined to fail, because it's that link back to success, that link back to business objectives is key. Camelia, anything to add to that?
So I think it's important to look at the language in this question, because it actually talks about implementing a successful skills framework. And what we're really talking about here is this systems change that comes with putting skills at the heart of things, of everything that you do, right? And where process is part of it, data is part of it, but then we also have governance needing to be really important, right? So it's really deep empathy. I'll come back to the point of empathy with those who are going to use these skills, data, etc., and processes in certain ways, and that's HR, business leaders, people managers, and employees themselves, and really thinking through how this will flow through in the system, and what not just data and processes they need to use, but how are they going to engage with it is what is going to separate just implementing a tool or a framework from making it real.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then, like, we've talked a lot about the organizational aspect of this and where organizations start. What about individuals? Where should we start? How do we keep our skills up to date? What are your views on that?
So I think it comes back now to our three aspects around how we see skills, right? Your technical ability, your behavioral competency, and your personal identity. So for me personally, I think about, so I'm really driven by a growth mindset, and continuously thinking about how I can leverage my skills in different contexts as well. So it's not so existing skills in new contexts, so some versatility, but also developing those new skills, and really to surround myself. I think about it from a systems perspective as well as an individual. So how can I apply those skills with people that I can learn from and with? And that includes my colleagues, my clients, partners, other corporate partners that we're working with. And what is then required of an environment for me to do my best work, so that I'm having that impact. So I think not just about the skills themselves, but the broader context.
And look, that's a really interesting guide in terms of how the individuals should look at it. And I think for me as well, there's also something about looking at the world around us. So in terms of what also you need, like what does your organization need? And we were talking about this before this broadcast, like what does the organization need? What's hot? You look outside in the world today, your ability, and you touched on it right at the get-go, unlearning and relearning new skills, learning agility, that whole mindset piece is getting to be a source of differentiation. People's curiosity, complex problem solving, creative thinking, the human at the center of this. I think coupling that with understanding where your organization is going and what good looks like. Most organizations are embracing AI in a way that we have not seen technology be embraced before. So what are you doing personally to go learn, develop? And I will stress, as a head of learning, you do not learn by doing training courses as much as you learn by doing. How are you going, rolling your sleeves up, downloading a YouTube course, playing with ChatGPT, opening up a custom GPT and learning how to do that stuff. And I think that practice through execution, which we all know innately, I think gets even more important in this new world. So look, we're probably coming towards the end of our time here. So any sort of closing or last minute final thoughts from you, Camelia, on what we've discussed?
So I just want to return to the idea of that whole person approach, where it's really important to think about at the individual and at the organization level, as much about that personal identity, and where this, and therefore how combination of those technical and behavioral, the technical ability and behavioral competency combine with that, because people ultimately have a wide range of skills that they can utilize to be successful in various roles. And it's being creative by considering everything that they bring to the table to drive outcomes today and tomorrow.
No, look, those are some great thoughts. And look, for me, I think there's a really interesting piece around your own self-assessment of your skills. You know, we all know ourselves pretty well deep down. How well are we able to truly and critically assess where we sit against what good looks like for our roles, where we sit against what good looks like around those mindset behaviors, and what can we do to improve ourselves? So for me, and I've said before in other fora, like, I feel that for a number of us, we're facing our own Kodak moments. You know, we risk obsolescence without critically assessing our current skill set and being able to step up and drive this through. And I think for the first time in a long time, it is not the responsibility of the organization, it's the responsibility of each and every one of us. And so for me, closing this out, that is a big thing that we can all do to help continue to move ourselves up the S-curve. I don't know if we have Darren back for closing comments, but do we? Maybe.
Well, maybe. All I can say is thank you very much, you two. You've been amazing. I do apologise for this, but what can you do about technology? So thank you very much. You've been wonderful covering for me. You've done all the hard work. I got away with ease this time. So thanks very much. And hopefully we can do this again soon. It might work. Take care.
Excellent. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you out there for putting up with this. This was very different, and I do apologise. But, you know, I hope we've covered a lot. I wasn't there, so I hope we have. From what skills actually are to how they fit into the bigger picture and how to keep them sharp in a world that's basically in constant update mode right now. And if there's one big takeaway, skills don't live in a vacuum. I think we all need to remember that. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And there's some links in the chat, so please go to those for more content. So thanks again. See you again soon. Goodbye.